Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of James Bond Bitcoin Live 0082 hashtag Rickle. So you'll understand what I mean by Rickle. It's in the notes section. And so let me read off the notes section here. So first in the notes section is Bitcoin Silver. So what a day today. Bitcoin Silver. So if you go to that that link, it'll take you to bitcointalk.org, and it'll take you to the Bitcoin Silver forum. Also in the notes section is Bitcoin Platinum, the true decentralized. Oops, excuse me. Let me see here. Bitcoin Platinum, the true decentralized Bitcoin, fair, proof of work, multi-algorithm. Um, that'll also take you to the bitcointalk.org forum. And then another Bitcoin commodity, Bitcoin Uranium. And make Bitcoin great again, radioactive coin. And that's also a Bitcoin Talk forum. We'll be going over those real shortly, soon enough. And then also in the notes section, AMD CEO sees leveling off in cryptocurrency mining demand. I'll go into that because it's all going to be related to tonight's show about these new forks and how they're going to be mined and everything. And in the notes section as well, it's a SegWit chart. I'll go over that again. We'll take another look. Brian's here with us today, so I'll ask him what he thinks. And also in the notes section is the Rick and Morty, a Rickle in time. And that's the whole point of the hashtag Rickle. So if you watch that video takes you directly to Adult Swim from the Cartoon Network. And so you have to go through and watch some commercials. If you don't like commercials, I'm sure there's some ad blockers. Or if you already seen it, you already know what I'm talking about. So that's in the notes section. Last but not least, the pot of gold. The meme to the pot of gold is in the notes section, and the address to the pot of gold is also in the notes section. And also a link to Hiroja, Shibe, Space, Odyssey Network. Go to her channel, subscribe to her, and watch her videos. And also, I have another person, Skive. If you don't know who Skive is, check out his channel. I have that in the notes section as well. Go ahead and subscribe to Skive and watch his videos. And of course, tonight, Brian is with us. Say hello, Brian.
Howdy, everybody. Man, what the hell is going on in the crypto space? You know what? I shouldn't even be surprised, James. I shouldn't be surprised at all these forks. We've discussed it before as what would happen. Greed. Greed leads to this. Greed is rampant in the space.
Well, it might be greed, but I think it's also it could be there could be a marketplace for Bitcoin or Bitcoin derivatives or Bitcoin dividends. I'll get into that a little bit later, but let me go over the meme here, and the whole Rick and Morty, Rickle in time. This is what happens when people have uncertainty and doubt about the future of Bitcoin. You start getting splits of Bitcoins in different dimensions here. So you've probably seen the first meme that I did here originally. It's almost scary that this actually did happen right here. And I just didn't have a name for it, but it's BTG Bitcoin Gold. And you got the used car coin here at the used car coin lot with the used car coin dealer. And of course, it was supposed to be mined fairly, like new, Bitcoin Gold. But all of a sudden, this morning, I was watching my YouTube channels, all the people that I watch. Maybe I'll make a list of all the YouTube channels that I watch. So anybody who wants to know where I'm getting some of my information, you can go and get the information for yourself. So maybe, you know, you can be educated. But if you go to this meme right here, BTSI, which is the ticker symbol, in which Bitcoin silver, and look at that silver coin that the used car salesman has wanting to sell to you. And that's also going to be mined fairly, like new. Of course, all of them have the hashtag yes2x. And then on top of this, what else could there, how else could you top it off but other than have Bitcoin Platinum? Right here is BTP, Bitcoin Platinum. And man, look at that platinum coin shine. That's a very, very shiny platinum coin. And last but not least, my favorite. I think this is my favorite right here. Bitcoin, the bum, Bitcoin Uranium. And look at that coin glow. It's gloating with radioactivity. And matter of fact, it's making the car salesman into a Hulk. I'm not sure if he's a Hulk or he's some kind of Pepe meme. What do you think, Brian?
I don't know. He looks irradiated, and with the green, it does, you know, suggest the Hulk. He could be suffering extreme radiation poisoning and is probably about to die. If you want to get those coins from him, you better act quick.
Yeah, limited time offer. I mean, it really is a limited time offer. We'll go into each and every coin and we'll try to compare them a little bit, see how they're the same and see how they're different. My favorite, I'll be honest with you, Brian, my favorite is really the Bitcoin Uranium. So let's see who's in the chat. Flapping Plymouth is in the chat and Dual Overhead Camness is in the chat. How you guys doing? Good to have you here. So I sent you the links. What are your thoughts so far in general about all this stuff, Brian?
Well, it's pretty funny that all this is happening. I said earlier when I began to get into a rant almost. We knew this was going to happen. We knew the SEC shutting down or acting as though they're going to shut down the ICO markets. People were going to change and start forking off of Bitcoin. And here we go. Got all these new forks from today. And I would like to know the folks who are behind each one of them. You said we're going to go through each one, right?
Yeah, we'll go through each one. I don't know who's behind it, but I'm going to go over the forum post, and there's a lot of information there. There's some websites or what they're working on it. A lot of it's they're working on it. You know, it seems like this just came out of the blue. I don't know if this is real or a joke or this is just trolling Bitcoin Gold. So I'm not sure what the deal is. Some of it I hear is true. Some of it I hear it just came out of nowhere. It's just like soon as Bitcoin Silver came out, then Bitcoin Platinum, Bitcoin Uranium, because they seem to be like a copy and paste. The forum posts are literally copy and paste of each other. It's almost funny. Let's go on to the next thing here. We'll get to each of those in a little bit, but oh yeah, let's go over the pot of gold. Don't forget that. I mean, let's make this a very nice big Bitcoin pot of gold, Bitcoin pot of silver, Bitcoin pot of platinum, and maybe even a Bitcoin pot of uranium. In any case, whatever it is, just send your Bitcoin. We just want the Bitcoin, but if I get the Bitcoin, I'll get each and every one of those coins, and it'll be in this pot. So it'll be whatever you want, whatever fork that's coming up. It'll be it'll be that in there for sure. I know that we'll get. There's also a SegWit 2x coin that's going to be in there because there's already Bitcoin in there. So if you just load it up, you'll get all those other coins too. So go ahead and donate to make this a very fun and interesting game. All right, so let's go over the SegWit charts. Have you seen this before, Brian?
Yeah, you've actually pulled them up before, I believe.
Okay. Let me see if I can go into like since activation. What are your thoughts on this chart graph of SegWit transactions as a percentage?
Well, let's see. From what I can see, this is every. Just change.
I just moved it to since inception so you could see the overall.
Yeah, I see. 144 block moving average. I like that. Okay. Every day, roughly, right?
144 block moving average. I don't know how many blocks there are, but it seems like you can count every day.
Yeah.
The block, it's by block number on the bottom.
6 blocks an hour, 24 hours. That's 144 blocks.
Okay.
Man, that's a precipitous drop in the last day or so in SegWit transactions. And the overall total is still really low.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it is right now, 8%. It peaked out at, looks like 18%. So it's dropped 10% from its peak, which was somewhat recent. Do you think this has anything to do with the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, that people are moving their coins over and they're being locked up in the exchange because they're not letting withdrawals or deposits out of the exchanges?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know really how many people use the exchanges as opposed to just normal buy and hold from like Coinbase or something. I don't know. I guess there are a lot of people that use the exchanges based on their data from how many users they have, but maybe that's the case. All right, so if I have one Bitcoin on a SegWit address right now and one Bitcoin on a non-SegWit address, how does that affect each Bitcoin moving forward toward the forks?
It doesn't really, although I do think the SegWit address is slightly a little bit more difficult if you want to split, because obviously if you take the private key of a SegWit address, it'll take you to a normal Bitcoin address. And from what I could tell from using Coinbin, the SegWit address is basically a pay-to-script hash, from what I understand. And it looks like you need a redeem script, whether it's a multi-sig, a time-locked, or a SegWit address. There's a redeem script involved in order to make a transaction. So the private key is important, but the private key with the public key address, you're able to generate a SegWit address with a redeem script in order to move your coins. So I think there's a little extra step involved. I don't know until the actual hard fork happened, or it has happened. The only thing the only hard fork that's happened recently is the Bitcoin Cash, and that happened before the SegWit was implemented. And so Bitcoin Gold is the only hard fork since SegWit has been activated, and we still don't know because they haven't, they haven't made their blockchain public yet until November at the earliest. We still don't know if they're really going to be on time for November because there's a lot of question marks with Bitcoin Cash. I mean, not Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold. Whether they're actually starting to mine, whether they have replay protection. So it's going to be a good exercise. Bitcoin Gold is really a blessing in disguise in some ways, because it kind of gives a lot of data in how SegWit 2x might turn out, and some of the issues that are going to come up, because there's no replay protection, the Bitcoin Cash essentially has SegWit as well, and it's forked off of Bitcoin right now after what's with SegWit implemented. So your SegWit addresses should also be able to extract your Bitcoin Gold. I just don't know the procedure yet because Coinami Wallet doesn't have any SegWit addresses.
Right, right. Okay. Well, back to your original question. Is it possible that people are moving their stuff onto the exchanges in order to prep for the upcoming forks? Maybe. If that's true, that means a lot of people don't understand how to use their coins and their keys and find it easier to just let the exchanges do it for them.
Yeah, and plus, I think they want to just dump their coins to the volume. We could take a look at the volume real quick.
Well, sure.
Just to
You
get
also get a chance to dump your Bitcoin Gold right away when the price is probably the highest.
yeah, yeah. That's what it turns out. That's what essentially happened. Let me see here. Coin market cap.
And poor Bitcoin Cash, not only did it down, but then Bitcoin went up so much. So its Bitcoin Cash's Bitcoin value went down even more, even though the monetary value has stayed relatively stable.
I see. Let me see here. It's still loading up, but okay. So it looks like well, let's take an overall look at the markets. It's kind of green right now in the last 24 hours, which is good because there was a nice bounce back. But the overall market's $170. So it has bounced back. I'll probably also do a chart analysis real quick on Bitcoin, but I think this is just a temporary dead cat bounce. I'll be surprised if it bounces up. It might with all the announcement of coming up. BTG. All right. Bitcoin, gold. Take a quick look. All right, it's Bitcoin gold has gone up. It looks like there's some buyers here for Bitcoin gold, although it's really a flat line right there. Let me see here what the markets look like. All right, it looks like almost 38% goes through Bitfinex for Bitcoin gold to US dollar. So it looks like a lot of people are dumping into US dollar. 18% for hit BTC, and that's Bitcoin gold to Bitcoin. And that's about it. That's the majority of the volume. So you got 4, 5, 6, 60% of the volume. Let me see, 5, 6, 7. Oh, Bitfinex. There's no percentage for Bitfinex for Bitcoin gold to Bitcoin, but that looks like the other percentage of the volume is almost at 4 million. So 35%. So you got 4, 5, 6. So three of the exchanges probably take up almost 90% of the market. So it's at 9, 10, 11, maybe $12 million in volume. So that's what's going on over there. So it looks like a lot of it's just maybe people who've traded, and this is at $140. So it sounds about right.
That's about 0.024 Bitcoin.
0.024. Okay, not too bad, I guess. All right, so let's go into the Bitcoin forum talks. It looks like we have someone new in the chat. Bitcoin B, how you doing? Well, you're if you're wondering where everyone is, they're probably sleeping. So you're lucky to be here. We're about to go over all the derivatives or the commoditized Bitcoin here. Bitcoin Silver, make Bitcoin decentralized again. So let's see what it says here. It says decentralization. Bitcoin Silver implements a new proof of work algorithm, Equihash, that makes mining decentralized again. Special computer hardware designed for Bitcoin mining. ASICs is obsolete for Bitcoin Gold. I don't know why they mentioned Bitcoin Gold, but giving ordinary users a chance to mine. So they talk about fair distribution here. Who has Bitcoin will get Bitcoin Silver, just like how Bitcoin Gold or Bitcoin Cash has done it. They will implement replay protection, so they say, but Bitcoin Gold was supposed to do that as well. Let's see. That's kind of not true in some sense. Transparency. It says Bitcoin Silver is free, open source software project that is built by volunteer developers and supported by a rapidly growing community of Bitcoin enthusiasts that stretch across the globe. Rapidly growing. That'd be interesting. So here's a comparison. It's the same supply, 21 million. Proof of work algorithm is Equihash, which is same as Zcash. So they'll be competing with Bitcoin Gold, Zcash, and maybe even some other coins out there. Hardware mining GPU, block intervals is 30 seconds. Block sizes looks like 1 megabyte, but effective 2 to 4 megabytes. And then difficulty is every block. So that's pretty much like Bitcoin Gold. SegWit is yes. Replay protection, yes. And they're claiming to have unique address format, which is yes. What do you think, Brian? Is this real? I mean, you think these people are able to deliver, considering Bitcoin Gold and what they promised and what they said and what is happening and or what's not happening? How real do you think this is?
I don't know, man. It seems just at face value, even not having read through this, it seems fishy. Um, all of these concepts are pretty great, right? Um, but we don't know who this is. Did they list a website? Are they on the GitHub?
Well, I guess that answers exchangers, nothing.
uh,
Wallets, nothing.
uh,
Pools, nothing.
uh.
Media, they didn't even bother to do any social media, not even a Facebook, a Twitter, anything. And then website is just nothing. It's nothing's here. I don't know if this is a joke or some trolling going on.
So they posted this yesterday morning.
Let's see when was this posted here? October 24th. I don't know what date and time. I don't know if it's on my date and time of my computer. October 24th, 2017, 9:38 a.m. on this post, but I don't know what time this post is dated.
Okay. Now we're just going to go back to like Scam 101, and the first things you do is you just browse through the website and see, spelling, little things like that. And they don't even have a website. You don't make a
Well, the
major
post seems to be
announcement.
written.
You don't even hint or drop, clues that you're putting something out if you don't have a website going. Unless you're not serious.
Well, apparently, a news, I think it was Crypto Coin News, picked up on this. And then I saw some other YouTubers start picking up on this. Maybe this is one of those stories that goes viral and then it'll just garner some attention. But you're right, it has no website. There's no exchanges. There's no GitHub information. This is very interesting. And there might be a pre-mine. There might be a pre-mine. and that's not mentioned here. So,
Hmm.
but the thing about this, Brian, is, and I thought maybe you have a different perspective on it, is you're seeing a lot of these hard forks that are going back to, you know, at home mining, the solo miner, or the pool, or you can actually join a pool instead of being an industrial farm mining, you know, company like Bitmain or something like that. And looks like this is what they're pushing for. Isn't that kind of what you wanted to see out of Bitcoin in some ways?
Sure. And you know, and I just said that I love this concept. You know, I like citizen miners. I like um, being able to ensure the safety of the network, as opposed to letting it become dominated by an entity. Yeah, I love that as a concept, but I don't. First of all, it's not going to be Bitcoin silver here. They're not serious. Um, maybe there will be a solution. Maybe I don't know, but I don't think Bitcoin silver is providing it. We've
Well, it's
asked
only the
people about GPU mining Bitcoin, and they said it just doesn't work. It's not profitable. You can't do it.
well, that's if you're using the SHA-52 algorithm.
Yeah,
So if you're using GPUs to mine the SHA-52 right now, it's not. But they're changing it to Equihash, which is supposedly made for GPUs.
sure. Yeah, I understand they're changing it to Equihash on Bitcoin silver, right? But
Yeah, it's also Bitcoin Gold as well,
and Bitcoin gold. We
and
don't.
Zcash. So maybe you can mine 3, 4 different coins at the same time. You can quadruple mine.
You know, instead of forking off of Bitcoin, if somebody can make such an awesome coin, they should just make it and drop it on its own and see how it stands on its own merit without being a fork or anything else.
Well, just in case, it's only the first day, so you know we don't know what's really happening. I think this is just to garner some interest and see how the community reacts, because I think the community reacted very, very negatively against Bitcoin Gold, just because the lack of preparation, the lack of transparency, and the lack of replay protection. And so I think if these new forks that come out, if they present themselves in a transparent way and actually have code ready and maybe even tested, although it says here that they're going to fork in December, which is really a very, very short time. It almost seems like these are all bootstrapped projects, and the ticker symbol for Bitcoin Silver will be BTSI. And so you're basically going to get a one-to-one when this happens. So if it does happen, it's just more free coins. I don't know if anybody will actually take it serious. I don't know if the exchanges will support it, wallets will support it. But I guess it's there for anybody to make a market for it. So that's Bitcoin Silver. We'll go on to the next one. And what's the next one? Next one is Bitcoin Platinum. Yeah, Bitcoin Platinum. They got a nice little platinum Bitcoin there. Let me see. Bitcoin Platinum, the true decentralized Bitcoin. Fair, proof of work, multi-algorithm. So there's a little difference here. And it's almost essentially just a copy and paste. It's almost ridiculous, but let's just read through it here. True decentralization. Bitcoin Platinum implements a host of new proof of work algorithm in order to achieve full decentralization of Bitcoin. and it lists all of these algorithms. Okay, so this is a multi-algorithm fork here. Blake's 2S, X17, Laura 2v2, Skeen, uh, MYR, GR, Equihash script, SHA-256, Qubit, X11, X13. So those are all different um, uh, algorithms, mining algorithms. Some of them sound familiar. This makes mining truly decentralized again. Special computers, special computer hardware designed for Bitcoin mining ASICs can mine BTP, which is the ticker symbol Bitcoin Platinum, as well as users with GPUs. This is achieved as every algorithm follows its own difficulty curve, and GPU only algorithms will have a much lower difficulty than those mineable by ASICs. By using multi-algorithm approach, we are reaching for the true decentralization, and we are making Bitcoin Platinum accessible to everyone. Fair distribution. Now, here's the thing about Platinum is they're going to pre-mine, and they say it right now, they're going to pre-mine 100,000 Bitcoin Platinum, but they will keep it for 23 years before they can use it. So it could be possible. They could set up a time lock address. So when they mine the coins, it goes to the time lock address in which everybody can see the date. I would set it up as a date, not as an actual mine or a block, because they may be able to rush the blocks, but set it up as a date and time. So it's stamped on the blockchain. And if they're able to do that and be honest with it and be transparent, I mean, this might be something. They here again, they will implement replay protection, and they will say it's transparent. Let's look at the comparisons real quick. Again, 21 million supply algorithm, proof of work algorithm. I already mentioned all that. Mining hardware, GPU, ASICs. No CPU though, okay, but at least GPU ASICs. The block interval is 10 minutes, so it's almost the same as Bitcoin. Block size 1 megabyte, which is effective 2 to 4 megabytes because it's SegWit compatible. And again, they have difficulty adjustment every block. Replay protection and unique address. They both say yes on that. So what are your thoughts about Bitcoin Platinum, Brian? Because that seems more like you can mine with anything.
Yeah. What I've seen so far is the two similarities between these two new Bitcoin Platinum are that they have SegWit replay protection and unique address format. I think those three things are probably the only three things that are agreed upon by everybody. And then every other factor has been up for argument.
Well, don't forget the
And
21
it's
million supply as well.
Well, yeah, 21 million. Oh, and by the way, the only fair and equitable way to do any type of new digital asset release is through a hard fork, because any other way is going to cause it to be put into the hands of a few. How did Bitcoin start?
Well,
In the hands of a few.
Well, Bitcoin was started very, very early. And you have to keep in mind that there was no other chain. This was never, I guess you could say it was never done before. And because it had no value or no expected value, yes, Satoshi Nakamoto was the first to mine on his computer, but it wasn't pre-mined. So it wasn't like he couldn't find anyone to mine. It's just that nobody wanted to mine. And so he was the first, but it wasn't exclusive to him only. Other people eventually started mining. One of them was also Hal Finney, which he sent his first Bitcoin. But other people just literally opened up their laptop and started mining. And that's how easy it was in the very beginning. Anybody could have done that if they wanted to, if they knew about it. But
Right.
since no one really cared for it and no one had any expectations of any return on this, it was just a hobby. Now, people know that this is going to be worth money. I mean, Bitcoin gold right now is hovering at 100, 140 to 150 bucks. So of course people are going to jump all over this.
How do you know that your coin's going to be worth anything? If you take a coin and release it and not fork it or anything else, it's possibly not going to be worth anything at all either. Digress on that little point. What I was going to go back to saying is your theory about this being like a testing ground to see what people think um, is gaining a little bit more weight, because they're just changing a little bit here and there from what they wrote for Bitcoin Silver onto Bitcoin Platinum. A different idea, a different concept for how to move forward. I'm starting to think maybe these three were put out to gauge people's responses and see which one garners the most support, and then maybe they'll start to build that one.
Yeah, the interesting thing, the interesting thing about Bitcoin Platinum is they actually will have links to websites, but some of them, I think, let me see if they actually will come out. Nope, this is not. This is a dead site, or either my browser won't see it. This is a dead site right here. Now these are all. Now this one's listing exchange, so they just listed off all these exchanges. They listed off some wallets. They listed some pools. Of course, they're not available yet, and they have a media. Let's see if their media checks out. Nope, that page doesn't exist. So let's see what their GitHub. Let's see if the GitHub works out.
If they're not on the GitHub, forget about it.
404. Well, maybe they're still working on it. You know, they're still working on it.
They're waiting on a DNS change.
Yeah, they're waiting on a DSS change here. Let's have a look at this one. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait for it. You know, let's not judge. It's only the first day, of course. Let's see what else they got here. Okay, I mean, you can read the rest of the forum post if you want to. It gets very interesting. But this was done October 25th, so this was done today. So you know, at 10:57 a.m. So let's just give them some time. I mean, they just posted it today, so they're still working on it. It's just an idea. It's just a post. They're working on it. Maybe it's just to gauge some sentiment, you know. So that's Bitcoin Platinum, Brian. So what?
And
What are
Bitcoin
your
Platinum
thoughts?
has the user that submitted this post actually has some history on his account as opposed to the Bitcoin Silver one.
Let me see. This the poster is ICO Sunig, full member, and has, like, I don't know what these things are. 3 coins under him. Activity 160. I don't know
Yeah,
what
how
that
much
means.
activity does the Bitcoin Silver person have?
Well,
Well,
Bitcoin Simon Solo is also
all
a
right,
full member and has
there you
activity
go.
134. So there might be something to it. It's just maybe they're just posting it out there, and
Hmm.
it's still a work in progress. This could be like the white paper or the pre-white paper of how everything is. Well, let's go on to my favorite. This is my favorite. So this has got to be my favorite. Okay, this is the one that's a newbie, has activities 11. So Bitcoin Uranium is a newbie. All right. Let me see what this was. This is posted today at 3:06 p.m. So this is after Bitcoin Platinum. So Bitcoin Silver, Bitcoin Platinum, and then Bitcoin Uranium. Also ticker symbol BUM, radioactive coin. Make Bitcoin great again. So let me see here. At least in this one, right off the bat, they have a website, but they're working on it. They're just letting you know they're working on it. So let's just take maybe, and again, and maybe my browser doesn't, you know, doesn't pick up on it. Boy, it's taking a long time to load. Okay, so while that's loading, they're working on it. I'm just going to assume they're working on it. So, and let me see your GitHub page. They're working on that one too, but let's see where that one goes. If it goes anywhere. It just redirects me to bitcoinuranium.org, which nothing happens. I probably got a virus going there. Let's see, they have a Twitter, and it doesn't say they're working on it, so maybe they actually have something there. Okay, they have a Twitter account. Let's see what the recent recent post are. It says, by virtue
They're
of
way ahead
exchange,
of the curve.
the curve. at least they tell you they're working on a website instead of just posting a
Right.
website or not even having a website. So let's see, there, by virtue of exchange, one man's property is beneficial to all others. There we go. They got a quote up there, lovely quote. Let's see what they have here. For more details, stay tuned. Oh, Roger Ver posted, it's unlikely that you will be able to reason someone out of a belief that they weren't reasoned into, is his post. And there's a reply, make Bitcoin great again. All right. The fact that Roger Ver posted on here makes me already suspicious. All right, so
No,
that's
he
that.
was
They don't have.
retweeted. He was retweeted.
Oh, he was.
He didn't post
Oh,
on
he
there.
was
Yeah, I've
Okay,
got
I
to
see.
get
I
you
see it.
acquainted with the Twitter.
Yeah, I don't have Twitter, so he was retweeted. So basically, whoever runs Bitcoin Uranium retweeted Roger Ver. Suspicious right off the bat. Oh my goodness. All right, so they want to make Bitcoin great again by forking it. All right, and then that's their Twitter, and let's see their GitHub. Let me see what's under this one. All right, there's something there. There's something
Oh,
there.
hey.
They're ahead of the curve.
They sure
All
are.
right, so I don't know what this is. I don't know how to use GitHub, but they got something, and there they are right here. Create whatever, update README. So there's something there for I guess developers to look at. All right, so they got something. So let's read them a little bit. Unique selling point. All right, a new proof of work algorithm echo hash to allow GPU CPU mining, kind of more like GPU mining. I don't know if they're going to actually have CPU mining here. Will not tolerate ASICs. We will not tolerate ASICs. This is the interesting part about it. It's a 450 days half-life. Some astronomical number of uranium. So they're trying to do some half-life of uranium. There's block rewards of Bitcoin uranium will be halved every 450 days with a max supply of 21 million. So basically, most of the rewards are going to happen very early in this blockchain. So as soon as it forks off, everyone, I think it's incentivized for everyone to start mining, because as soon as you mine as early as possible, you're going to get the most amount of Bitcoins, because after that, it's going to have every 450 days. So what is that, about a year and a half? So yeah, about a year and a half. So what is that, 16 months? About every 16
It's
months.
interesting. So, if it does a 450-day half-life, are they going to start out giving more rewards than Bitcoin currently is, or are they just going to end up becoming infinitesimally small and never making 21 million Bitcoin uranium?
That's the interesting part about this. If they're going to change the proof of work, they may, well, right now there's already 16 million available, so they may actually start with 6, and then half of that would be like 3 3.25, then half of that would be 1 and some odd astronomical number, then it'd be 0.5, and then it just get to a very tiny, tiny, small amount. So if this is how this is going to work, theoretically, this should skyrocket in price because every year and a half, it will half. And so basically in 5 years, you're going to get literally like Satoshis of block rewards. And it's going to have to go up in price in order to have people continually mining this. So different algorithm, different block halving. This is going to be interesting. 1 minute block time. Anonymous address. That's a future version. So they kind of put that out there. And here's the interesting
They'll do
part.
a soft fork.
Yeah, there's going to be a soft fork, probably a soft fork, or maybe they could do another hard fork. Who knows? I mean, after this point, it has its own life.
They could call it enriched.
Enriched. After it forks again, they'll have one called enriched, Bitcoin enriched, and there'll be Uranium Classic. You know. So there, but the interesting about this is it has no pre-mine, unlike Bitcoin Gold, Silver, or Platinum. Now, what's interesting is they mention that Silver is a pre-mine, although when I go to the Silver post, there's no mention of any pre-mine. So I don't know how they know about this. Maybe these are the same people reposting like different forks of Bitcoin here. So there's no pre-mine. So maybe this one's meant to draw a lot of like do-it-yourself miners. You get in, you're supposed to get in as early as possible because you're going to get the most rewards out of it from this point on going forward after it forks. And then every year and a half or 16 months, it's going to halve. And so literally by 5 years, you'll be mining fractional Satoshis. And after that, it'll be even less and less and less. And so theoretically, the price should increase, theoretically, although there's been many altcoins like 42 coin that have like tried to do something like that where there's only 42 coins. So, but if you ever look them up, they're practically worth nothing. Let's go on here. They'll have replay protection, as they should, because the community kind of really demands that. Transparent, of course. So let's have some more information here. Ticker symbol BUM. Bitcoin Uranium. Total supply 21 million. Proof of work algorithm is Equihash again, and this is updated. I don't know what they updated from. It was Equihash from there. Okay. Mining hardware target is CPU GPU. Now I don't know if they really mean CPU, like I can mine on my laptop, but again, it's going to be updated. Block interval 1 minute. Here's the thing. It's a 1 minute block time. So I don't know how that's going to work out because currently Bitcoin's 10 minutes. So their block rewards have to change and to be 21 million. I don't know how that's going to work out because every minute you're going to get a block reward. And so that's going to be interesting. If they use 6.5, I don't know how that's going to work out. There's got to be some math to it. Block size is same thing, 1 megabyte, effective 2 to 4 megabytes. Difficulty adjustment, every block. SegWit, yes. Replay protection, yes. Updated. Unique address format, yes. Updated. So what are your thoughts on this, Brian?
Man, if you thought Bitcoin Silver and Bitcoin Platinum are awesome, look at Bitcoin Uranium. It's on the GitHub. It's got a Twitter. And they're updating. I mean, look, they updated all those stats recently. They're on the move. This is the one to watch right here.
Yeah, I found this to be very interesting too. Out of all of them, this is probably the most interesting. And plus, there's no pre-mine to this. Now, I don't know who's going to be developing this, because the concept of having a pre-mine is you incentivize the developers. And right now, there's no exchanges, no wallets, no pools. But I don't think the platinum one right here, I don't think these are real anyway, because they're empty links, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But they got a big old thing here, says coming 31st December 2017. So you got some hard forks coming in November, and then some in December, and this one is dated for the 31st. There's no block time in particular, but I'm sure they'll update that. Yeah, this one's probably the most interesting, because I don't know how they're funding it. So either as someone who really believes in it, and if they really believe in it, I think this one has the best chance, because to do a hard fork, the first thing you'll need is people to develop the code, put the replay protection out, figure out the rewards, figure out the time. That's all development. So that's the first thing you need. And if there's somebody out there who's willing to develop that, even if it's one person, because after all, Satoshi Nakamoto, well, I guess you could say Satoshi Nakamoto was one person. Eventually, he got help, but he was still one person to start, and then found another person, until it became a group, and then it became an actual movement, and then Satoshi Nakamoto left the movement and left it to other people. So if you're trying to mimic Bitcoin, this may be the closest so far. No pre-mine, a dedicated developer. We'll see if it gets enough help, other volunteers, like real volunteers. You're not paying other people by your pre-mine coins. We'll see if this actually has legs and create a movement. So that's the first thing I think you need when you do a hard fork. You need development. What do you think, Brian? You want to add to that, or have any comments of your own?
Well, development, and then you need miners.
Right, and the second thing after that would be you need the miners, and which the way this one has it set up, it's the block times are 1 minute, so miners are going to get rewarded every minute. It halves, so you have to get in at the very beginning when it forks to get the most benefit out of it. So it's going to attract probably the most amount of miners, and it's a GPU CPU mining, which I think that's all right, because there's still a lot of GPUs out there, and if you can do some CPU mining, that'd be great. Maybe I could fire up some of my old computers and have at it. It'll be interesting to see how the difficulty adjusts, but if it's for every block, that's something I haven't seen. But again, this is all new. I was thinking platinum might have been a good one, because the way they have their let me see here, their proof of work algorithm here, they've got a lot of algorithm, and they're all set up differently, but I don't know how realistic that is. If you can have that many different types of algorithm working on one chain. I'm not a miner, so I don't know that for a fact. But I thought originally when I worked my way from silver to platinum, it kind of got more interesting, and then finally as I hit uranium, it just like, oh well, this is probably the most interesting I've seen so far. So so yeah, you probably need miners. And then once you get enough of that, it's possible in conjunction, you can probably start to work on exchanges. So you need developers, you need miners, and then you need the economic facilitators, which would be exchanges and wallet providers, to see if they'll start jumping on board with your project and be open to as far as exchanges listing you, and wallets at least entertaining the idea of having you on a wallet. So whether they require some money to do that, or you can gain enough interest through, last but not least, the end users, which would be you and me. You know, an exchange may not be necessarily needed because Bitcoin didn't have an exchange for the longest time, for the first almost 2 to 3 years of its life. It was mostly mining and people who were trading peer to peer from miners. So it could be a grassroots movement with Bitcoin Uranium. We'll see. But ultimately, I think those are the things that you would need. I think it'd be, and the other thing is, I think it's a lot easier now than it was before to do this. So the question is, are people going to do this without a pre-mine? Because if no one's for sure going to get paid on free money created out of nowhere, well, it's not free money, but it's pre-mined, will they join this movement? That's the question that I'm asking, and we won't know until we find out.
Well, the whole flip side of this is it's just a one big troll job.
Well, I don't know. Bitcoin Uranium went out of its way to at least have a Twitter and a GitHub, and it's working on a website.
And the GitHub account looks like it had made suggestions for core content as well, if I'm not mistaken, or to somebody's project on GitHub.
Okay. The funny part is the person who posted it is a newbie, only with 11 activity, probably all on this post here. So, you know, does it, just because someone has activity or is a member, does that carry more weight on Bitcoin Talk forums?
I think it carries more weight on all the forums. It shows you've been around. It also goes a little way to prove that you're real and a part of the community.
Okay, because the first two that I've seen, they have full member, they've been around, but I don't know if they're being just paid to post, because this one just shows absolutely, Bitcoin Silver shows no links, no websites, no activity as far as the project that I can see. And then the same goes for Bitcoin Platinum from this poster here.
We need to take a look at other things those posters have posted, I guess, and see if they've actually made any contributions or if it's all been gobbledygook.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't done that yet. I usually don't go to Bitcoin Talk forum posts. So, but ironically, the newbie, who seems to have the most interesting project and actually has working links and working on and updating, seems to and actually has a pretty solid date here. Like, they're pretty determined, coming 31st. Seems like, I don't know, the most interesting in my opinion.
Wow, I just noticed this. When you said 31st, it says 31st. 31st.
A misspelling.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, goodness.
It's fake, it's a scam.
It's a scam. Oh, goodness. Yes. Go figure. Bitcoin Uranium. Who would really name a project Bitcoin Uranium? Oh, goodness. So what do you think about this whole commodities of Bitcoin? You think there's going to be more? Will there be a Bitcoin coffee?
Did you say Bitcoin coffee?
Yes.
Wow. There might be. I mean, there are only so many names to go around, and you've got to make it unique, right?
Yeah, you know, Bitcoin soybean, Bitcoin rice, Bitcoin wheat, Bitcoin core, or not core, Bitcoin corn. I think there's actually a Bitcoin altcoin out there.
Hmm.
You could just make it all the commodities. I mean, we can just go Bitcoin bronze, Bitcoin.
Well, they left palladium and copper open for us.
Oh yeah, palladium, copper. You know, you can go through all the commodities, and you know, I've mentioned that you can that the implementation of Bitcoin would reach an apex, and as silly as some of these may be, and as ridiculous as it may be now, it's quite possible one of these can actually start taking off as a meme, and then begin a movement and actually starts genuinely competing against all the other coins, including Bitcoin.
It is possible. In this space, anything is possible. But to do that, they would, like you said, they've got to have people who are willing to volunteer their time and get behind the project. A bunch of citizen miners. They're going to have to do a lot of propaganda to pull it off. Anyone who's going to do that would need a lot of propaganda.
Yeah, you know, the thing about this, the only down part about this in the current time that we're in with the ICOs and the pump and dumps and the pyramids and the Ponzi's is there's a sense that you need marketing, quote unquote marketing, or you need market makers, the people who's going to create the hype to make a market for your coin, or the community um, what do you community leaders or community managers or something like that. So that's the only thing about Bitcoin Uranium, because they're not going to do a pre-mine. They won't be able to dish out free money that they created out of thin air to motivate people to market for them. So that's the only thing about Bitcoin Uranium that's a disadvantage in current market versus the other coins, silver and platinum, because they'll probably have a pre-mine, which they're going to use that to pay people to get you and me interested and all hyped up about it, which seems to work in this space. If you look at the ICOs, all the pump and dumps that has happened, and to some degree, but not much, with Bitcoin Gold, and Bitcoin Cash was definitely funded by the miners, or by a group of miners and Roger Ver. So there's also that component that needs to be done now. And before, when Bitcoin was very young, you probably didn't need any of that. You just made a coin, put it on a forum post, and it probably would have pumped really well. But now you need to do more than that. You need more than a forum post and a Twitter to pump your coin and get it out there. You need to pay people to hype it up for you that already have a huge following or subscribers that they can sucker into. So this is going to be a little unique. Bitcoin Uranium, it won't have that advantage. So I'm just gonna watch it and see how it unfolds. But you know, this is probably Bitcoin Uranium is probably the most interesting project of them all, and it'll be interesting to see the new projects that come out, the coffees and the bronze and all these other ones. But at first, you know, I was really how can I say this? I was against any hard forks coming out, but that's because the way they were marketed and the way they were implemented. If you can find a hard fork that's, you know, comes out for virtuous reasons and has a really dedicated developer in the beginning and some genuine, you know, miners coming in, and it can actually start a movement on its own without the marketers and the propaganda, I think that's the coin that's going to have the best chance. And without the pre-mine, That's going to be interesting. It's going to be difficult, but I think it's still possible to do.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch. I mean, we've always posited that the being used globally is probably not going to, the one that's the daily transactions and used by people is probably not going to be Bitcoin for various reasons. So there will have to be something else. Is it going to be a hard fork of Bitcoin? I don't know. Coin hard forks there are, and the different values that they attain might represent a hierarchy of coinage. Like I use my Bitcoin gold when I buy bread, and my Bitcoin uranium when I want to go have a dinner or something. I don't ever use my Bitcoin.
Well, right now, Bitcoin that we know as BTC is the Bitcoin. But you're right. In the future, we don't know. And I always thought as long as there's, well, in my mind, if there was one Bitcoin, then that's the Bitcoin. Now you're having different implementations. Although they're forking off and they're adding replay protection, they're considered altcoins. But the fact that since I own Bitcoin right now, and if any of these other implementations forks and gives me their coins because I own Bitcoin, they essentially are also Bitcoin in some way. Now, in the long run, the game of surviving, if Bitcoin as we know it dies as a chain, well, then that's no longer Bitcoin now. We have to go on to the next longest chain, and then that becomes Bitcoin. And if that chain dies, we'll go to the next longest chain, and that becomes Bitcoin. So the roots of all these forks from Bitcoin, essentially, they're all Bitcoin in some way. The question is, which one's going to survive as the longest chain, or even survive, period? Because I think that as we move forward in time and in history, you'll see an apex of these different implementations of whatever it may be, the algorithm change, the proof of work change, the issuance, the difficulty adjustment, whatever it may be. As long as they eventually survive, they may actually end up hard forking again or soft forking again. And there are different branches of the root of Bitcoin. But as long as one survives out of all of them, that will be the one Bitcoin. Because if you look at the early Bitcoins that were mined by Satoshi Nakamoto, if for whatever reason he comes back or she comes back or they come back from wherever they are right now, whether they're dead or alive, if they some reason come back, they can take their private key, and whatever surviving Bitcoin remains at the end of this long journey, there's only one that remains. They can still take their private key and sweep those Bitcoins, whichever one that's still out there alive, that's the Bitcoin that they have. So yeah, you could say this is Bitcoin. If it survives and it becomes the longest chain in the very end.
Well,
All right, so let's
I
move.
guess that's why some people want to make sure they kill off and move forward so they can become the dominant chain, the longest one.
You're talking about
I
SegWit
wonder
2x.
Yeah, first and foremost, yeah.
Yeah, that battle's still coming up, and so far it seems like it's dwindling a little bit. But I'm not sure if if that's enough. At 70% hashing rate, it could still kill, Bitcoin Core off, at least the development team. If it gets down to 50-50 or 60, then there's an equal chance that both of these chains can survive. It'll be which one is going to hard fork to add replay protection after that. Because so far as I'm concerned, the one that's going to add replay protection becomes the alternative chain. It's still forked from Bitcoin, but that's not the Bitcoin. The longest chain being the one we're on right now. So if they do survive, it's just a question of who's going to hard fork, because one of the chains may have to change the proof of work. They may have to. It depends how much more hashing power on the other side. It can be in parallel as possible. Question is if they could both possibly add replay protection as a soft fork, is what I heard as well. So if the hashing power breaks down 60-40 or anything close to under 70, so 60-40, 50-50, 45-55, something like that, they could both survive. That's quite possible, in my opinion, anyway. In the whole game theory idea.
Right on. I was just looking at the ad underneath this article here, not the one that's on here now, but the previous one. And it's funny that it used a Trump campaign slogan, "Drain the swamp," the same way they were using "Make Bitcoin Great Again," both in cryptocurrency advertising.
Let me see here. How about this one, the Bitcoin Uranium?
I don't think this one was "Make Bitcoin Great Again." And no, the advertisement was on the page you were last on with the new article we're getting ready to discuss. And it already cycled to the next advertisement, so you're not going to be able to see it.
Cycle
anyway,
through
it was just, yeah, I went to the next one. It's just funny, they used Trump's slogan in their advertisement for Spectre, which was "Drain the swamp."
Well, that's funny. That was great timing, wasn't it? Let's see who's in the chat. We do have Hiroja, Shibe, Space Odyssey in the chat. Good to have you. And it's me, Boss Lady, is in here as well. Thanks for showing up.
Howdy, ladies.
So yes, we got ladies in the house. Unicorns do exist. So AMD CEO sees leveling off in cryptocurrency mining demand. Just on that headline alone, what do you think so far?
Let's see. The CEO sees a leveling off in cryptocurrency mining demand. So less people are buying his chips, so therefore less people are wanting to mine. It tells me that Bitmain's getting a lot more customers.
Well, that might be true, but considering the boom in GPU mining this year in 2017, if that's leveling off, mining is an indication for me of how much demand for the cryptocurrency coin. So if there's a leveling off of GPUs, that tells me people are not mining these coins, which tell me that the value of these coins have gone down, which it has, which means most likely that if people aren't interested, it's almost a like a future indicator that possibly the prices are going to go down. because the price goes up, demand for GPU mining goes up with it, because people want to be profitable. Now, ideally, if you're a smart miner, you would mine when it's not profitable and continue to mine until it becomes very profitable, and then you would probably not mine as much. You would keep all your miners and let the market make the money for you. But miners don't think that way, from what I can tell. They want profits to be paid right now to pay off what they put money into it. So when I see this, I'm thinking that a lot of people who have mined are perhaps dumping their coins, and they're not reinvesting. So they're dumping their coins and they're not reinvesting, and they're keeping what they have. And most likely they're spending their coins because they're miners. And so if they're not reinvesting into more, then I think the future indicator for these altcoins, at least, because GPUs are mined for altcoins, that those altcoins market. That's what my intuition tells me.
Well, that means that Bitcoin should see an uptick then. And it also means ASIC should be in more demand, because if people want to keep mining, they want to stick with something that's more profitable. If all the altcoins are going down, even though the best strategy is to keep mining them because then you get more coins, maybe they might consider switching over to mining Bitcoin.
Well, Bitcoin's kind of unique. Even when the
I know
prices go down.
they have to change all the hardware.
Yeah, well, first of all, they have to change the hardware completely, because your ASIC chips are useless, because when they come out with new ones and the difficulty rises, you have a paperweight. But what I've noticed from the past is that even though the price goes down, the difficulty doesn't go down. It actually continues to go up. More people mine, and I think because these miners are not do-it-yourself miners at home. They are essentially large mining farms. And so they can go for a very long time mining at a loss, because they're anticipating that the price will go up, and all the Bitcoins that they have, well, they're going to eat that loss for a greater profit in the future at a later date. So they can absorb losses as compared to a do-it-yourself miner who can't go, they can't pay their electricity, for 6 months and not get any return on it. They can't, it's hard for them to do that. So that's the difference between Bitcoin and ASIC miners versus an altcoin and GPU mining, because there's so many other altcoins out there. They just switch, they kind of switch around, but eventually when it becomes unprofitable and they're not reinvesting, it's not going to tank the market, but it is going to, from what I can tell, if there's less demand in mining, there's probably less demand for the coin as well, and the price is going to go down. And so, but overall, I do think the demand for altcoins, as it goes down, it will affect the demand for Bitcoin, because most of these altcoins get dumped for Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's why I figured Bitcoin's price would go up when all these start going down. I agree.
Yeah, but eventually it'll drag the price of Bitcoin as well. So the altcoins will go first, especially the lower tier pump and dump altcoins. Those will start, and they already are. Like, a lot of these altcoins are already trending downwards right now anyways. And Bitcoin's taking the opposite. Their Bitcoins are making all-time highs, while the other altcoins are barely, going sideways. Some of them already trending downwards. So let me read the quote here from the article. It says, in terms of the headwinds, we're also predicting that there will be some leveling off of some of the cryptocurrency demand. So this is coming from AMD. I think, you know, um, getting feedback or reports like this from chip manufacturers or GPU manufacturers is a great future indicator of these altcoins. So if AMD sales are down because no one's buying to mine these altcoins anymore, there's probably a good chance that that trend will continue on into the market.
You know, it wasn't too long ago they couldn't keep these things on the shelves. I mean, you had folks driving across states to find these cards, and now they're saying their sales are slumping and they're forecasting decreased demand. You know, this all comes on the heels.
Yeah.
You know, they made this statement because they they were kind of looked at poorly because of their involvement in cryptocurrency, and that's why the stocks went down a little bit. So they come out and say, well, you know, we're expecting that there's going to be a little less uh, need for cryptocurrency or demand for it, so therefore less demand in our chips. I don't know if they would even brought that up if people hadn't have said, oh, this is because you guys got dragged into cryptocurrency. Everybody was pretty high and heavy and praising them probably when all of their cards are selling like hotcakes. So now the company
Yeah.
goes back to its status quo as it was before it dabbled in crypto, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I can't deny the fact that the alts have gone down in price. It may not be profitable, and those some of the difficulty is still high to the point where they're barely making any money at this point. And so they're just not reinvesting into new mining rigs. That makes a lot of sense for me.
it does.
Because a lot of the people
Sorry, go ahead.
who started mining got into it only because it was profitable. That's all they look at when they calculate.
Well, the big flood of people mining happened. Now those miners are just mining what they have. They're not buying any new equipment. They probably can't afford it anymore. Like you said, it's not as profitable for them. But if the altcoins go back up, AMD is going to see a big boost because those guys will have a lot of coins and they'll want to spend them and get some more equipment maybe.
Yeah, and then that also may explain why there's so many hard forks coming in. Um, the hard forks may give life to these existing mining rigs because, like I said, you're changing the algorithm, you're changing the difficulty, and you know it'll give a second life to your old mining rigs, maybe even to your computers. So it depends on what's happening. Like Bitcoin Platinum's offering like all sorts of stuff: X11 script, SHA-50, SHA-256 with ASICs, and they'll have their own difficulty according to the mining rigs you have, whether you have ASICs, GPUs. So I think there might be a market for this Bitcoin Platinum. There's probably going to be a market for Bitcoin Silver because they're going to use Equihash, and they may use a different difficulty when they hard fork, as well as Bitcoin Uranium. So when I see the report of sales leveling off, that tells me there's probably a really good chance that a lot of people have all these mining rigs. They're probably trying to sell them on eBay or Craigslist, and no one's buying them. So they got them anyways. Why not repurpose those miners into these Bitcoin hard forks? And that should probably be good news for these Bitcoin hard forks because people might actually mine them because most likely it's going to draw a lot of interest. It's going to be very profitable in the beginning. because we've seen Bitcoin Gold be $400. It's $150 right now, and this is essentially an altcoin. And an altcoin at $150 is amazing. It's great.
I think it'd be well worth any money AMD spends in supporting development of GPU Bitcoin forks.
Well, AMD may not. Well, here's the thing: people may not buy new graphics cards because they're going to be reusing the ones they have. So AMD won't be. I don't think AMD won't be receiving any benefits for a while from these new hard forks.
First. But it would be in their best interest to have more people GPU mining available, because that opens up more opportunity for people to buy more rigs.
Yes, I agree on that. So here is the mempool right now, which is a different story after Bitcoin Gold. So Brian, I know that you swept the time locked address. It literally
Did that
just
finally go
confirmed,
through?
I believe, today.
Oh yeah, I've been
Finally
wondering
confirmed
about
today.
Wow.
And so these hard forks do cause demand in the mempool as people try to rush to get them wherever they want to get them, to the exchanges or to consolidate to a wallet in preparation getting them. So as SegWit 2x comes out, as Bitcoin Silver comes out, Bitcoin Platinum comes out, if they really do come out, and Bitcoin Uranium, you're probably going to see a pump in the price of Bitcoin as well as the traffic. Because if you look at it now, it's practically dead. There's only, what, 283 transactions in the mempool right now. They're not even making full blocks anymore. Mempool is only at barely at 2 transactions per second. So a huge difference. So expect more. Have your coins where you want them, because you may not make it in time, or put a higher fee to get where your coins need to be for these hard forks if you're going to look for a split.
Yeah, move them now while you can. I mean, that transaction
Yeah,
only cost me five
don't now.
cents.
Yeah, well, you had to wait, what, 2 days?
Yeah, like 3 days, I think.
Yeah, you had to wait
Sunday.
2 or 3 days to get those, and I some of those I had to wait like 3 days, and it was sent to one of my other treasure wallets, so it's not a big deal. If I want to extract the Bitcoin Gold, I could, but I'm not. If it didn't confirm in the block, that means my wallet that I sent from anyway, so it worked out for me anyway. Anyways, let's do one last thing. So that's the mempool I wanted to share, and then the last one is chart analysis. I'll do a quick chart analysis. All right, so here's the chart analysis. I'll do a weekly, or not a weekly, the hourly. And I'll just put in a simple line. Did take a little bump today, but I don't think that it means it's recovered. There it is, right there. So it did take a rise in the price at, looks like 4,800, somewhere right around here. Mean that it's broken this trend line here. So in order for this price to bounce up higher, it's going to have to break that trend line, and that's what I would watch out for. That's on the hourly. It may not break because it's just bouncing off of this channel here, channel down here. Right, if I could just I can't do it too much. Something like that. There we go. Something like this channel here. So we'll see where it goes. That's just a simple line drawing you can do. Sometimes technical analysis is really simple. Just some lines or 2 lines, the moving averages crossing over. But this is on the hourly. Now, if I switch to the 12-hour, I use a lot of the moving averages, just really simple to look at. And you can see here that it's moving in between the 2 averages. So I don't know if it's going to bounce off of this bottom average here and then bounce off the top one. Don't know if it's going to break up or higher. It's still a question mark. If I go up to the daily, it kind of shows it's just more of a resistance than anything else. And so if it can't break up higher than that, again, can't break higher than 5,800, it's probably going to fail and go down in price. And then here's one more piece. It's hit this bottom moving average, but because the candles stick is pointing downwards, it's showing a little bearish for me. But if you want to buy in and see if it breaks up, you can do that too. But let me look at the average one more time. And there's still a lot of room here, a lot of gap between the average here and this average down here as well. It just looks a little bearish. But again, if it breaks above 5,800, then we're back on track to going up. But if it can't do that, then expect the price to go back around here, around 5,000. That's my take on the chart analysis. All right, so before I conclude this episode, let's go back to the original meme. If this meme ever does show up. All right, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, say what you want to say.
I was going to say, if no one's ever watched Rick and Morty, you have to at least watch this episode. It's very good, and it's very apropos.
Yeah, you sent that to me when we were talking about making memes for like maybe Ethereum, but it turns out we're gonna use that to make a meme about Bitcoin. So yeah, the Rick and Morty, a Rickle in time, is in the notes section. Seems like YouTube's deleting all the good, videos out there. So this one takes you directly to Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. You have to probably go through some advertisements. If you have some ad blockers, that's great. But it is very, very, very funny, and I think it's very appropriate to what's happening with Bitcoin, with all these forks and all the uncertainty and doubt that's going on. Anyways, any more last words, Brian, before we close the show out?
No, that's it, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody in the live chat. I appreciate you staying and chatting and watching the video. Feel free to like, dislike, leave a comment, or even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.